Okay, this is a video for the KZ AS12. This is a 6BA per side IEM from a company that makes lots and lots of stuff. If you have the AS10 and you like them, I would say that you could probably continue to possess those and not need to move up to this. This set has an audible and also a graph. I'll post the graph up on my community section of my YouTube maybe today or within a couple days. It's got a double peak around 8-9K. In certain tracks it's noticeable. It gives a sense of detail and space by the elevation, but in tracks where there's like a lot of info right there, it puts it right on you. So love the build quality. It really is similar. The shell cap is different, but I believe that this stuff that's supposed to prevent resonating, or I believe that's very similar to the ZS10 Pro, which I'm a big fan of. This doesn't quite do it. Let's go through with the music right here. First track is Ambitions as a Rider, Tupac Shakur. The bass, the BA bass, not competitive with the dynamic drivers. The gap has gotten very narrow. The only thing that you're missing is the tactile sensation and sometimes a sense of maybe a little bit too fast BA bass sometimes. But on this track, everything sounds fine right here. This is not a problem. If you're listening to a lot of hip hop, I wouldn't think that these would necessarily be out of the equation. That they're not. They do kick good, and that elevation around 8K and on music like this really just gives a sense of detail. It's not really stimulating in a bad way. This is Allman Brothers' Melissa. This is a track where, because it's Melissa double S and sibilant and that thing that people find to be quite annoying, you could, I don't get that very often from IEMs, but I do get a little sense of it from these. Again, detail is in that area, and these sound like they've got lots of detail in it, but there's info in this track where this is elevated, and it sometimes presents itself and other times doesn't. On this particular set it does. So this is kind of when I go in order when I do my playlist, and this is when I first thought, okay, we got to start paying attention. This is the Beatles' Dear Prudence. It's got a single bass pull at the beginning. The recording, this is a remaster, I believe. White Album remaster. It's a really, really good quality. Sounds good on stuff that's kind of warm and lush. On something like this, John Lennon's voice, Dear Prudence, it's kind of screamy. And I don't know if I can attribute that to the region that's elevated or the climb from 500 up. Which part of that is giving me issues, but you can kind of hear it. So this would be something, I'm obviously not going to wreck it. I think that the AS10s are superior to these because I get a lot of the detail, but I don't get that that measured and audible peak that I'm getting in the treble. So like in rock and roll, Stevie Ray Vaughan, also his guitar solo is a little bit piercing to me. Black Sabbath, Sweet Leaf. This is a lot of distortion, a lot of everything. This is a dark song, actually. Ozzy and his screeching and screaming doesn't really get on me. I'm not hearing it like I am John Lennon on that Dear Prudence song, or Melissa by the Allman Brothers. So it's hit and miss. It depends on the recording. This doesn't have the same qualities as Planar does. This was the song Sweet Leaf, Black Sabbath, and a few other tracks that really, really showed me what Planars can do. So if you're somebody that's a Black Sabbath fan and you got the P1s coming, you're really going to enjoy in an in-ear way that you probably never had before. I hadn't prior to that. Can't find my way home. Second cymbal strike. It's a crash or it's a splash. It's complete or it's incomplete. It's splashy. I can hear that peak on that hi-hat, that cymbal. It is making its presence known. For people that are slightly older and have reduced hearing, this might compensate for that. So it's people look at it and say, okay, I'm out of it. The audience is broad, and the age is of there's people that are in their teens all the way up to their 60s that are watching my videos. So if you're older and you find yourself having a little bit difficulty catching sometimes stuff that's up in the upper register, when you see a graph that looks like what I'll post up, don't be turned off by it automatically unless you've previously had experience and realize that doesn't matter your hearing, you just don't like that. Sometimes it's almost like a compensation curve. So these are otherwise in the bass and in the mids, they sound decent to me. I like them. They've got a good clarity. KZ is getting better, in my opinion. The AS10 I would think would be better. It's more kind of balanced. But the good side of this elevation around 8-9K is for people that have age-related hearing loss, or they were in the military and they got lots of concussive, shocks to their eardrum, and it's a wild, crazy world. If you were going to see if something like this would fit you, this would be something maybe in the price range that you would check it out, because it's not like something more expensive. So personally, no. And for most people, probably no. But there's a segment out there that might say, you know what, I actually need a little bit of juice right there. Then this would probably be something you would like. Bob Marley and the Wailers. Again, this is like 3 or 4 bass-centric instruments right at the beginning. Dun 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 dun. Plays it nice. That part right there. This does bass good. It does also. Where's Jim Croce? I'm making sure I pronounce it correctly because people are constantly getting on me. Forget that I've been listening to this guy since I was a kid. Who gives a fuck? People are constantly like, it's Croce. It's not Croce. Okay. Ready? This is Jim Croce. And this is a song called Operator. And this sounds really good. There's a guitar and a singer. His vocal range is standard for a male human, but the parts of his voice like a Neil Young or Duane Allman and John Lennon in those particular songs that I noted, Jim Croce is doing quite fine. Got no problems with this whatsoever. You forget all that. Need a number if you can't find it. I can go just to tell him I'm fine and to show I've overcome the blow. I've learned to take it well. Fucking love Jim Croce. Fucking love the words of this song, man. Real, 'cause that's not the way it feels. Pink Floyd Animals. I usually don't use this one recently, but this has got that no problems with this, even though there's particular instruments like keyboards and stuff that is up in this upper range, doesn't stimulate me. This is really a vocal hi-hat crash splash is like an OCD thing, so I'm not going to spread that around too much. I note it all the time, but something like this, organs, keyboards, I don't find it to bother me in that presentation. It's in the vocal range and a little bit in the guitar, really high notes on the guitar, where I can hear this elevation. Aside from that, not really. So that would give a wider sense of space and stage being elevated up there. So I don't wreck these. If you got the AS10, I would say keep the. Too bad the AS10 didn't have a slightly better build. I hate the way that those look. I happen to like the way they sound. I'd say the KZ ZS10 Pro is my favorite, and then I'd say the AS10 is my second. Or I'm attributing a little too much to the build quality, because the AS10 is really close to not good enough, but it does the job. It's probably The AS10 and the KZ's ES10 Pro are my two recs for KZ. This wouldn't fall into that. Bass for BA is good, no problem. Tupac comes in, we got no problem. Listening to Jim Croce, mids, the guitar part that's there, and his feeling of being forward or back sounds fine. Details and the treble doesn't seem to be an issue, except for certain vocals, which is a problem, and the way the hi-hat splashes but doesn't crash wouldn't be personally appealing to me. So I don't wreck these, but there's people that buy what I do wreck and they don't like it. So I mean, it's got its own, the whole, full circle, like, who the fuck are you, right? I know. I can't wreck these. Like them though, and I like the build quality. Tone that treble down just a smidge. If you're gonna be elevating from 500, lower it a little bit, and also don't have a secondary peak. It's gonna do what this is doing. So not wrecked, but other people are gonna review it, so check them out. And if 5 of them say it's awesome, then fuck me. Go ahead and check it out. I'm gonna say there's so much good stuff out there right now that instead of gathering a lot of fairly decent cheap stuff, maybe save a little bit and get really decent mid-level stuff. My opinion, anyway. Next video is going to be a comparison between Sendy and the Phantom, the planar. And I'm out. I got the mouse in my hand. I was about to click like I'm out. It doesn't work that way. This camera has a button. And now I'm out.